Alright, what's up YouTube? Counterpunch Boxing. Okay, look, today it's kind of a freestyle video. I got a few things I want to go over. Thank God the whole Mayweather-McGregor thing is going away for now. Well, it's not really going away, but it's kind of trickling down, and we can get back to the Gennady Golovkin Canelo fight because look, this fight right here, I can tell you, I can't think of any other boxing match I've ever, wanted to see more than I want to see Golovkin Canelo. The only one I can compare it to would be probably Mayweather Pacquiao, but we all know that was like a huge letdown, so looking back on that, the anticipation was about the same, but I'm hoping it won't be a dud. Okay, and that brings me into my topic today. Will the fight live up to the hype? Right? That's what I want to talk about today. Is it going to live up to the hype? Because right now, this is like they're labeling the fight like this is like the boxing match that can save boxing, that can bring back boxing, put it back on the map. Because look, you got Canelo Chavez, complete dud, right? Mayweather Pacquiao, complete dud. Okay, now AJ Klitschko was actually really good, so that was a hell of a fight, probably the best heavyweight fight I've seen in a long time. But I was watching Billy C earlier today. Now, look, if you guys haven't ever watched Billy C, he's all right. He's a kind of old school, boxing commentator. He's got his radio show over there, but I'm a fan of his. It's just that good traditional boxing talk, that that barbershop boxing talk, and I listen to him pretty much every day. He does like an hour show every day. So he did a show today. And the topic basically was, will it live up to the hype? And I think it will. Look, a lot of times, fights that marinate never live up to that hype. Okay, now the older generation, it got me thinking. I watched in the past week. Okay, I've watched Cotto Margarito. And then I watched Cotto Zab Judah, Oscar De La Hoya Mosley, the first two fights. And then I watched, I think it was like Oscar De La Hoya Mayorga, I believe. And, these are all like, featured bouts back then, main events, big fights back then. And they were great. You got guys like me that'll go back and watch them on YouTube, nearly 10 years later, and I really think that the Golovkin-Canelo fight will be that fight. 10 years from now, people like me and you and, new boxing fans, they're going to come into boxing and they're going to watch it, 10 years from now. And by the way, shout out to, there's a channel called The Astronaut, I think, like The Astronaut, and I took some pictures from him, but he took them from other channels. But, you guys go check him out. He had like 300 subs or whatever, but, he's got some good stuff over there. But anyway, back to my topic. I think it will live up to the hype. And, I think at a minimum, it's going to be a really good fight. It might not be like a fight of the year, okay, but it'll be a good, signature fight that I think, you'll see a lot of replays of and that kind of thing. And right now, I haven't made my prediction yet. The last video I put out, I kind of had, I thought that maybe Canelo would win by decision, but technically Golovkin would win, but I'm just worried. These judges, man, they've got me worried lately, so I'm really concerned that he's going to get robbed, or he's not going to get a fair decision, or it'll be really close and they'll give it to the cash cow, right? But, I guess the more I go back and look at Golovkin's career, it kind of reminds me of who he is. Maybe I lost touch. Maybe I lost, focus a little bit. And he is getting older. Now, look, every video out there I've watched, they all talk about how, yeah, he is getting older. He is on the decline. And it's a shame. What a shame that we didn't get Golovkin, like 7 years ago, because you guys have to remember he didn't sign, here with K2 Promotions until I think 2012, I believe. But let me run through the history real quick. Okay, look, in 2013, Gennady Golovkin resided in Big Bear for 9 out of 12 months. Okay, 2013. Remember, in 2012 is when he signed up with K2 Promotions. Okay, of course, the Summit Gym. Okay, right here, Gennady Golovkin was denied a title fight with Felix Strum and Kelly Pavlik for 7 years by Universal Promotions. Now, here's the thing that a lot of people don't understand about Golovkin is, basically in America, we got him 7 years late, okay, because he was with this other promotional company, and they pretty much shelved him. They put other guys in. I forget who they put in front of him. That they were trying to build up to be the big star, but basically they had Gennady Golovkin on the back burner. Finally, they said, you know what? We're going to America. Him and his brother Max, they go to America. They meet up with Abel Sanchez, and Abel Sanchez said he showed up with nothing but a bag. They hit the mitts, and he knew right away that he had a champion on his hands. So now, after signing with K2 Promotions in 2010, okay, the Hunter of Kazakhstan begins his reign over the middleweight division. And here, let me run through them real quick, okay? Golovkin Stevens. Now, look, this should remind you of what Golovkin should do to Canelo, okay? And, I guess I needed a reminder myself, okay? Golovkin Rosado, a bloodbath, brutal fight, right? That fight was probably one of the most like brutal boxing matches I've seen in I'd say in the past decade. One of them, not the most, but one of them, maybe the most. It was close. It was a bloodbath, okay? Right here, Macklin, okay? 2 ribs were broken on Matthew Macklin with that shot to the liver. Now, one thing that it got me thinking, okay, look, Golovkin, he's got to use that jab. The jab that he used against Lemieux and Jacobs, right? If he can use that jab and that left hook like he used against Macklin, and then that lead right, the guy that maybe against like a Rubio, I don't know, he uses a lead right a lot, but if he can just incorporate those 3 shots, okay, the left to the body and the left hook to the, after Canelo throws that jab, the left hook, that left hook, I really think, and you guys, look, remember me telling you this, because I think that left hook is going to be I think it's going to be, the punch that really changes the Canelo fight. I think that left hook is going to be the deciding factor, the game changer, okay? But, yeah, look, 2 ribs were broken on this shot right here. You remember when he hit Macklin with that left hook? He went down, and you could see the pain on his face, right? And then, of course, Gil, he didn't stand a fucking chance. He just knocked the hell out, TKO. And then Rubio, again, I think Robert Garcia trained him for that fight. He went down. But, it's just, here's the thing. He made such easy work of these guys that he got a lot of hate for it, because he made it look too easy. So, he made it look so easy that everyone out there, oh, you're fighting bums. But, and look, I've already proven, I've made a video, tons of them. These guys were top 10s, okay? These guys are not bums. I hate that word, and I hate when people, say shit like that. But, oh, that was the Martin Murray fight right there. And Martin Murray said that he was the hardest hitting, boxer, period, that he's ever been in the ring with, okay? He said there was thudding power. He couldn't, he said my body just couldn't handle, he said the human body cannot handle that kind of power, okay? Monroe Jr., we remember what happened here. And look, and this shows you too that Gennady Golovkin, he can fight many styles, or against many styles. Right here with Monroe Jr., you got a boxer runner, kind of like an Irizlandi Lara, like that Cuban style of fighting. And what did he do? Cut the ring off, attacked, pressure, cut the ring off, pressure, attack. So I don't think Canelo is going to show him anything that he hasn't seen. The real question is, can his body hold up? Is he too old, right? Is he too far out of his prime to to beat Canelo? That's really the question. You can ask even a casual fan, and they're going to tell you, is he too old, basically? So, but here's what I think, okay? And I've done, if you listen to my last video, I've been kind of on the fence, right? I've been thinking, well, maybe he is too old. Maybe he's out of his prime. Maybe Canelo, maybe he can really pull it off. Well, no, well, maybe it's close. Maybe the judges, I've got all this confusion and all these questions, and really what I'm coming down to, and I put a lot of thought into these fights. I really do. I mean, when I'm just walking down the road or driving down the road, I'm thinking about how it's going to go down, right? When I'm eating dinner at night, I'm thinking about what I wonder what round one will look like, or when I'm like taking a shower, I'm like, okay, I wonder if maybe he'll win by knockout. If I'm walking my dog, like I'm constantly thinking about boxing and especially this fight. And right now, where I'm at mentally, where I'm at is I really think that I think Golovkin's going to be too much for him to handle. I really do. I mean, that's what my heart of hearts keeps telling me. My gut tells me all the knowledge, all the years of, experience, knowledge, whatever. It keeps telling me that Golovkin is going to be too much. There's no way Canelo can pull it off. There's just no way. The only way is to, survive and to make it 12 rounds and get a gift decision, a robbery, whatever you want to call it. But and look, I'll give you guys my official prediction. And like I said, I mentioned that left hook. I mentioned that lead right, and of course the jab. We'll call it the Jacobs jab and the Lemieux jab. If he can incorporate those three tools, and then he can and will beat Canelo. But will he put it all together? You got to put it all together on fight night. You got to get in the ring and you got to put it all together. So right here, look, David Lemieux. Okay, it was brutal. His jab was telling the whole fight. I mean, look, again, that's Lennox Lewis talking about that jab, and it did. That jab was, man, look, if you ever want to show a boxer how you should jab, like what the perfect jab is, go back and watch Canelo and Lemieux. Okay, it was just a great jab. Gennady Golovkin looked amazing tonight. Dana White, UFC, you must disarm the gunslingers who are coming to destroy and hunt you down. Lemieux could not. Bernard Hopkins. Now, of course, you guys remember David Lemieux signed with Golden Boy Promotion. So basically what they did was they threw David Lemieux in there as a fucking guinea pig, right? As a like a test dummy. And they were like, okay, well, and I really think the Lemieux fight is why they continue to duck Gennady Golovkin. I really think, like I said, they put Lemieux in there and, just said, oh, hell no, we're not putting Canelo in there with him. Not now. And they waited a couple of more years. Okay, they had the Brook fight. They thought they saw a little bit of weakness and vulnerability. Then they had the Jacobs fight. And they're like, oh, okay. Well, maybe now will be the time, right? So, and I think there's a lot of things. I think a lot of it has to do with the pressure from the fans, and with Golden Boy's name on the line. Plus, you remember you got the lawsuit. Canelo owes what, $8, $9, $10 million right now. So look, these guys are money motivated. They're prize fighters, okay? So Canelo owing that kind of money. I think the stars aligned, and I think now we got the fight. They think Golovkin is on the decline. They think they know Canelo owes money. Got legal problems, got money problems, and all kinds of things. So right here, there isn't a middleweight alive who can beat him. I don't care who they got. He has extraordinary power. That's now you guys remember Darnell Boone was a sparring partner of Gennady Golovkin. But avoid Golovkin like the plague, Carl Froch. And what did Andre Ward say? Or wait, Canelo Alvarez should avoid Gennady Golovkin Mayweather. Canelo Alvarez should avoid Triple G Mayweather. Andre Ward. Golovkin is not a one-trick pony. It's not just power. Okay, so even Andre Ward knows that it's more than it. Look, and it's not. If you know anything about boxing and technique, you will know that there is like extraordinary boxing ability and capability and skill and just years and years and years of boxing that is all bundled up into one package. You will know that if you truly know boxing. You can see these little subtle things that he'll do. I was watching a fight the other day where he was like tapping the glove, and I was like, oh, watch, he's setting up a right. He keeps tapping that glove, tapping it, and then boom, through the right. You see these little things, right? Or he'll jump to the left and then cut off to the right. Just these little things that he does that if you're not a boxer or you don't really know your boxing, you're not going to pick up on them. You're not going to pick up on them. And especially if you can watch it in like slow motion, then you can really, really break it down. But yeah, you guys, look, let me end it here. Dude, Gennady Golovkin is from a broke ass, poor, you know, poverty stricken place. It's just a terrible place. I wouldn't want to live there. Karaganda, Kazakhstan. Okay, terrible place to grow up to live. Like I said, he was signed with that bullshit promotion company. Thank God, K2 Promotions got a hold of him and Abel Sanchez, and now we have Gennady Golovkin. It's 7 years late, yes, but at least we got him. And just a reminder, he's fighting once a week back in the amateurs. Got 300 and what 350 300 something amateur fights, okay, fighting once a week, and of course in the Olympics. So I don't know, like I said, when I think about all this right here, and then I look at Canelo, I'm just like, there's no way he can pull it off. So it's like almost like I needed a reminder, and I gave it to myself. But and it's not that I was doubting him. I wasn't doubting him, but like I said, I don't like to talk about retirement. I don't like, I want to see like an angry, motivated Golovkin. Maybe not even angry, okay, just an excited, motivated Golovkin. But I don't think, maybe, people keep telling me, well, you're not going to get that. That's not who he is. He's not going to, jump on a microphone and talk shit, and get all crazy. Like, that's just not who he is. And really, someone put it, and I'll end it here. Okay, someone put it to me best. They told me it's the quiet ones that you got to worry about. I said, what? They said, yes, it's the quiet ones that you've got to worry about.